everybody. Welcome. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers session number 32. We're discussing the latest news, having fun, and dropping knowledge. But let not, for fuck's sake, let's not forget. This is a 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too seriously. And I just had a call with one guy who mentioned that this is actually a late night show format, which sounds pretty funny. Late night show vibe as well. So it's great. So we are here with Felix Praberg, Jakub Remiar, and myself, Matej Lančarič, for today's session. And before we dive into topics, how are you? Both of you. And there is
pretty good.
Silence.
Level 22.
A little rough night courtesy of some bad sushi, but I'm doing better now.
You look good.
Thanks,
good.
man.
By the way, I finished Dark Souls finally.
Nobody
after
cares.
so much time. I know you don't care, but it was great.
Was it the VR version?
No, it's the normal one. But I played the mage build, so like last boss was pretty much like 8 seconds for one spell.
Dark Souls.
Sorry, not Elden Ring.
No. Yeah, that's like.
Yeah.
That's why I said nobody cares. Okay, Elden Ring.
So Matej, what are we discussing today in this beautiful episode?
I know, right? Thank you for bringing it up. So Richard asked about the Admon or Admob Bidder update and the iOS tROAS update. So we are definitely talking about that. But then talking
what
about
Richard
Roblox.
Wants, Richard gets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Richard, we are here for you. So Roblox about to launch in-game ads next year. Marvel is getting into the AR business with who else than makers of Pokemon Go. Marvel Snap launches on October 18th, and then the main knowledge drop, and we're talking about global launching like pro, because we are all pros. There you go.
We should have some kind of a jingle sound playing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's like a proper soundboard.
Okay, I will try to find something. What kind of jingle you wanna get? Badumts.
Yeah, that one exactly.
Okay. All right. I will get that for you. Don't worry. And again, you are not wearing glasses. So, Felix, yesterday we recorded the Slovak podcast, and he wore glasses. So he doesn't give a fuck about
because
the
our
Slovak
subscriptions
one.
have been increasing, and he got those
Yeah.
compliments on not having glasses, and like he's turning red now, so it's great.
Filthy.
Yeah.
Well, you will see. Well, if your eyes won't get hurt too much. All right, let's talk about the Admob Bidder update.
Okay.
Actually.
So, update on the Admob Bidder. So keep in mind that this is still a closed beta, right? So the Admob Bidder on Max is a little bit like a sports team that you really like that starts in a season doing super well, and then it just starts getting a bit badly in the season, and you just get a bit disappointed. I love the team, but come on, guys, let's get back to winning.
Then you fired the coach, and then you hired
exactly.
So
I run the Admob Bidder now in 14 waterfalls, and I still only, out of those like tests in 14 waterfalls, I still only have 4 running. So of those, nine I ended up promoting, 5 I ended up deprecating, and the 4 that are still like running are still super wavy. So it's up and down. So one day it's up 10% in Add.app.txt. You check the next day, it's negative 2.2. So it's like typical early beta stuff that just needs to get hammered out. Like some days it looks like it's the best thing that, the goddess of Google has ever given to us Admon people. And other days it just looks like, crash and burn. So average uplift on the ones I promoted is about 3 to 6% on Android. iOS IDFA is like always like knock it through the park, 10% uplift, but it's just a bit smaller these days, right? So Admob are always working to improve it. So for example, last Monday, they released some kind of update to their intern RV bidding algorithm. And you can really see straight after they released that on last Monday, things definitely improved. So back to my sports analogy, we're still in the first quarter of the season, and Admob Bidder had a mega start, then a glut fell on over, and now it's picking itself back up again. So it's just one of those things. Like it's what you expect from a beta product, right? So
Really?
it's got promise, but like it's not there yet. Absolutely
Okay,
not.
because I have very different experience with the tROAS actually. It starts very shitty and then it actually picks up. So now I see improved performance over time in both US and worldwide campaigns. I guess it's like more data, higher budgets, and then patience is needed very much. The only thing that suck balls pretty much is the 5 days delay of data. So with the iOS campaigns, you already have 72 hours delay because of the privacy threshold, not price threshold, because of the ATT, IDFAs, and all the privacy bullshits. Then on Google, you have 5 days delay. So it's not 72, it's even more, which sucks, but what can we do? This is something that was really performing super well before the IDFA happened. So I put a lot of faith in it, and I will spend against it until I get better performance. That's how I roll. Oh, but yeah, it's still like fluctuating a lot, but it's getting better and better. Right now, I see a lot of like a very big dip in terms of the budget spent, but actually the draws improved quite heavily. So patience, young Padawan, I guess. Like it's this is something that also like people need to think about. The same thing with the regular iOS campaigns on other channels. You can't make any changes, or well, you can, but you can't make any changes based on the data because first 72 hours you don't see anything. So you need to be patient and just wait, because it gets kind of scary when you see spend but you don't see installs, purchases, or any other events. But you need to be patient, and then after 72 hours you will start getting these data points, and then you can make a decision. So yeah, that's it from the updates on the monetization and UA side of things on Google products and beta programs. Right now, let's get into the news, which are super interesting. And I think the Roblox launching an in-game ads next year is actually pretty interesting, because last week during the Roblox developers conference, they announced these ads will be rolled out next year in Roblox. These ads will be 3D, well, easily identifiable, and they will be native on the platform, which means billboards, all of this bullshit. And they said in their announcement that brands and developers like will be able to build never seen before ads experiences on Roblox, including portals that can seamlessly transport users back and forth between the experiences. So, okay,
We're
things are
getting there. It's pretty much as it was written like 20 years ago in that Stanford Human
yeah,
Interaction Lab when I was doing my thesis. The ads are getting there. They're starting to be human.
yeah.
Great.
I'm pretty sure you were right about the NPC actually being the
An
ads
ad.
that an ad that comes into your face and just start selling like in the real world. No,
Guys,
it's
ads are the best thing that's ever happened. Like, what's your guys' negativity? Like, seriously, great
yeah.
brands get to display great products to willing consumers. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I-
just wait when there's gonna be eye tracking there in those headsets. Then it's
Amazing,
gonna be a gold mine.
Oof, yeah,
amazing,
you can't wait.
and I'll be
There
there to
was one.
optimize it.
There was one other thing that they mentioned in the announcement, which was a marketplace where the developers can sell avatars or whatever they make. So you
Mm.
can make some Robuxes on those.
Do we think that there are gonna be actually any other placements than these? I mean, like
Other
possibility to have
placements, dude. You can put those native ads everywhere. It's like
no,
billboards.
I'm okay with that, but I'm talking about rewarded video.
Look, what will happen is if it doesn't like start off by getting any traction, that's where they'll go. They'll go
Yeah,
traditional. So like if it doesn't work and it's like not looking good, they'll go back to traditional stuff that actually works. Like that's proven, right? So
yeah.
that's what will happen if it doesn't work.
You know what I expect? T-shirts with actual slogans and ads on them. And I've seen those pitches actually before. There are companies working on this type of advertisements.
Oh, you mean like users in Roblox will be looking like NASCAR cars with all plastered around like logos and stuff?
Oh, NASCAR. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
So,
get
so
it,
you can have the default one, or you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
have the nice skin, or you can have like the one that makes you money by wearing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something like that.
I'm actually kind of excited about this. Like,
Of course you are.
yeah.
It's gonna be another revenue stream for you. So why wouldn't we be?
Right. Let's move on to the next news story because I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
this one.
Oh,
Yeah, let's continue. Okay, so there was a Disney's game showcase where it was reported that there's another try at the AR game, or I would say geolocation run rather, because there's not really much of AR other than the advertising, and the first moment you play the game, you turn it off because it consumes battery.
Of course.
So Niantic is again
Who
behind the
who
scenes
who
of this.
again?
Niantic. Our favorite.
Say it
You mean
again.
Niantic or?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, see.
And this time, after Warner Bros. Tried with the Harry Potter IP, which unfortunately failed, Marvel IP is getting thrown into the mix, and they are gonna release the game sometime 2023. Official date is not released yet. I mean the specific one, but by the trailer, we pretty much know nothing about it. So
The trailer
I'm
sucked,
guessing,
really.
I'm guessing there's gonna be some 3-faction core gameplay, or 3-faction meta game, and then some kind of easy to control like hyper casual core gameplay that will be geolocation based. Don't know.
Hyper casual goal gameplay.
Like you have with Pokemon Go, it's a hyper casual core gameplay because
Okay.
you throw Pokeballs at stuff. That's it. Like it's like one finger something throwing. I mean, like the
Sure.
actual interaction with the app.
Yeah, there's gonna be some battles involved.
So their track record right now is like Settlers of Catan didn't work out. Harry Potter didn't work out.
They killed Transformer game as well.
Yeah.
Everything didn't work out except Dragon Quest Walk.
Did it though?
Dude,
Which Dragon Quest Walk is the Japanese game, man. That makes like millions.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why you work out.
Every time, every single time,
But it's the
he
genre
mentions
evolution.
this
You cannot
fucking
miss
game.
it. You cannot miss it here.
I really believe at some point in the future we will have an episode where you don't speak about VR and Dragon Quest.
Or no, you know what we're gonna do? We'll just have an episode where he only talks about Japanese games and is out of his system, and then it's just
then I will speak up. I will speak about ASMR creatives and UA diversification.
But that game has the biggest RPU in the whole industry, probably.
Of course, most probably because they diversified the UA portfolio.
By being only in Japan, yeah?
Yeah, right. So, what do we think about Marvel? This is going to work? It's going to break the trend?
No. I don't think so. It's going to work.
No.
Unfortunately.
I don't have any high hopes.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
No, like it would need, in my opinion, it would need some kind of technical breakthrough, like it did with Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go
VR?
it was like VR. It was a technical breakthrough in the end, but they had their, it was their second try pretty much, because they had Ingress and all the infrastructure and nodes that Ingress built, and they just build on top of it. And every other game, my guess is, that's being built with Niantic's help is going to use that same infrastructure anyway. Niantic, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we'll see. But I guess next on the chopping block is either Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, a geolocation game. I'm waiting for that to happen.
That would actually be better than Marvel.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings now,
Why?
like in interaction.
Why?
So I'm guessing that will be it.
Why would it be better? It's the same. It's the same thing.
Same thing. You just have another expensive try and then kill it.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, come on, Lord of the Rings. You actually have to bring like something, and then you move it, and you put that thing in the 7-Eleven. That will be like Mordor.
How can you beat this?
You can sell it as an ad unit for
yellow
7-Eleven.
rat, man. Like this small yellow rat called Pikachu is a like social phenomenon. You cannot beat it. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah, it won't be even close. Even if you put any other IP on top of it, it's just like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You do the next one, Remo.
Let's move on. More Marvel. So finally, Marvel Snap launches on October 18. I guess everybody can't wait. It's the game.
I can't wait so much.
I can wait at least. It's the game from the studio Second Dinner, which is the former Hearthstone team led by Ben Brode, the former game lead for Hearthstone, and they are pretty much trying to push the evolution in the card game genre. As seen in the game, like by the things that they were publicly released, the game seems to kind of pivot a lot from the traditional Magic the Gathering system, whereas it's more close to something like Gwent, where you are just racing your opponent to have more points on the table by the end of the turn, and you take 3 turns. That's it. It's not the usual Magic the Gathering formula where you have energy, you pay for cost of attacks, and like takes health and damage into the head and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. I'm kind of skeptical about the accessibility of it all. Like, even though it looks pretty good, and like definitely there's been like a lot of work put into it, and
it's niche as fuck.
yeah, that's the problem. And the art also is very I think they took the original art from Marvel Comics, so it's very niche by itself, just by the nature of it. It's not that, like we see currently on the market, Survivor.io pretty much killing it with its hyper casual look. It's completely different kind of spectrum, so I'm expecting very high CPIs. But yeah, they have the Marvel IP, of course, to mitigate that. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Because
even that IP can't help with the super niche visual design. It's just like, it's not possible. You can slap 10 IPs on top of it. It still be very, very niche.
Yeah, we'll see. The gameplay is definitely niche. Like in my book, it's harder to understand than Hearthstone is.
Okay, well,
so we'll see.
I have zero idea what you're talking about because I'm not playing these type of games, but it's fine. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but
I'm not a part of the niche.
Evolution-wise, it can like add a lot into the card genre design. But that's the problem that we all face in the industry. That by making a great game, you are not really making a successful commercial product.
That's the thing. Yeah, of course.
A lot of great games get killed on the chopping block because they just can't keep up with the market CPIs. That's
sure,
it.
But this is Second Dinner guys, and they're former Blizzard guys, right? So they don't care that much, I guess. But we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. We can talk about it like in 2 months from now, when the game is going to be global launched. And
we
have some data. Yeah, exactly. And we have some data. And speaking about the global launching, very good segue to our main topic today. And last week we talked about what to do when you scale a game. Then we talked previously about scaling. We talked about soft launching, but we actually skipped global launching. And it's
nobody gets to it. Everybody dies during soft launch.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so thank you very much. This was another episode. we can close the year. It's the global launch is when the fun starts. I always say that because it's really sometimes really funny when you see all those mistakes made when you global launch a game and you are not prepared well. So let's talk about all 3 point of views, and let's start with you, Felix. Since you feel shitty, you can start.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
So global launching, and what does that mean for ads? So for ads, the first thing you need to have figured out well beforehand, like before the worldwide launch, is what ad networks to work with and are they working properly. Why? Like ad SDKs are like a really good source of ANRs and crashes. So you want to add these SDKs and run them in your game as like far away from your global launch as possible, because A, you want to make sure that they're showing ads that your users are being rewarded properly, and B, that the SDKs are not causing crashes in ANR, because that will ruin your Google Play standings, reviews, and even making a featuring probably impossible. I know featuring is not a big deal as it used to be.
Quick comment. For those who don't know what ANR are, it's just app not responding issue, which is very close to the crash rate.
And Remo, can you share the metrics that you have to hit on Google Play?
Was it 0.47?
Exactly.
Well done. You win a cookie.
Yeah, thank you, by the way. I shared it from my soft launch deck, so there you go.
That's why I didn't ask you. I knew you were going to get it.
Nobody's asking that.
True, very okay.
Okay. So Adding the networks like early in soft launch allows you to work out any issues, so you don't have it like during your global launch where it actually will cost you quite a lot of money. So
To work
so
with.
what are some good global ad networks to start with? So let's rank them. Admob,
Nice.
Meta, AppLovin, Iron Source, and fifth, Unity. So these networks are enough until you get to 4 to 5K a day in ad revenue. Then you'll need to add more. So if you're
Is
launching,
is there any rule of thumb? So if you get 7,000 a day, you need to have 8. If you get 10,000 a day, you need to have 12. Is there anything like
I mean, 12 is probably like never advisable, but
I
like
know, right?
I've never actually worked more than like 8 or 9. Like
Okay.
8, I think, is the max I've worked with. But that game was making, like 50K a day.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was quite a big title, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're launching in or certain geos like that will be your target geos will be like bigger than others, it's a good idea to also add some geocentric ad networks to start
Mm.
off with. And good rules of thumb here is Emobi, like super strong in India and good in the US. My target, really strong in CIS and Russia. I'm not sure how applicable that is right now, but
Mm.
historically they were good
Yeah.
in those regions.
Yeah.
Pangle, strong in Southeast Asia. Mina, and like they're not yet in America and Europe, but in the geos are actually active and you're targeting them.
Mhm.
They're like super strong to work with. Mintegral, super strong in America, but also I've seen really great results from them in Malaysia and Indonesia. So like quite impressive results. So
Okay.
those are good ones to, yeah.
Question is, you have these 5, and you put these into like a worldwide waterfall, and then you create a different waterfall for Asia, MENA, or how does that work?
No, so basically like depends how granular you want to get in your
Mm.
setup, right? The best thing to do is like having one global waterfall, but we're getting to that a bit later in global launch time. We talk
Oh,
about waterfalls, so you're kind of jumping the gun because
I'm
you know
pretty
what? You know what?
curious.
Fine, Maciej. That brings us to the waterfall segment.
There you
We'll
have.
talk about it right now. How about
Okay.
that? So normally, how you structure waterfalls is that you group countries together that have similar ECPM prices. Why? So this enables you to group countries together to take better advantage of the Admob 3 calls limits for those similarly priced geos. And grouping also makes it easier to manage these geos. So back to your question, like these geocentric ad networks, I would probably still launch them like globally because it never hurts just having like extra demand sources everywhere. But like where they will actually help the most is kind of with the geos I explained. Like they have everyone's good in
Yeah.
America usually, but yeah, it's good like having a second geo that's actually quite strong.
Okay.
So the issue is like when you global launch and when you need to set up waterfalls for your global launch, you don't know what the eCPM prices will be in your geos because most likely you've not had users in there before. Like, so you don't actually know what the average CPM will be for that game. So what I do here is you speak to whoever will be running your UA and you ask them pretty much what geos they will be targeting. Then you take the UA tiers and you mimic them in your geo group, like grouping on
Mm.
the mediation platform. And like this is a good start, but more often than not, you'll probably have to change it a little bit after about like 2 weeks of running because then you'll actually start seeing the true ECPMs. But that's a really good way to start, at least.
That's why you asked about those geos.
Yeah,
Really? Okay. Now,
yeah.
now I get
Now
it.
you
Now I get
understand.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you do has impact on what I do. Here we go.
Ah, a little bit. A little bit.
No, but UA, like, yeah, it's very like everything flows downstream to Admon, right? So yeah, it's
Yep.
very impacted, yeah, highly impacted. So that brings us to where to price your waterfalls to start off with. So you need to keep in mind that during a global launch is where you see some of the highest levels of ad ARPDAU ever. So I always say you start off super aggressive. So what does aggressive mean? So let's say like if your top placement in other similar games, let's say that's 100, you should add on at least like 30 or 40% here and like start with that number and building the waterfall down from there. If this is the first like game launch ever, like say for America, I would start on iOS since it's a global launch, like 210 on rewarded videos, $200 on interstitials, and $9 on banners for America. Android, I would say 200 on rewarded, 200 on inters, and $10 on banners. Notice here the Android ECPM is now like the delta gap to iOS. Like it's now a lot closer. So just wanted to say a big thank you to Apple. Really looking forward to seeing how your search ads revenue grows. It brings me so much joy to see you guys crushing it, and like being so blessed to having you guys be the custodians of our privacy data and using it only for your own ad network. Keep fighting the good fight, guys. Thank you. Anyway,
there you go.
So
Making
then,
enemies, my friend.
anyway,
Making enemies.
I was congratulating them. Anyway,
Yeah, sure.
then when you launch, you want to make sure that you set waterfalls up beforehand to make sure that you don't have any like broken placements, because that sometimes happen. Doesn't happen as much anymore, but it still can happen. Also, before launching, you need to make sure that your add.app.txt files are up to date on Android and your info.plist are updated for iOS. So
Okay. Wait.
Yeah.
What are these files? What is add.app.txt and then the...
So an add.app.txt file is a website extension that you need to have basically on your Google Play like developer website, and like your website, it says Google Play Store, it says developer website that points to your website, and on this website you need to have a extension like /add.app.txt.txt. And in here, this is where you have a list of all the vendors that you have for like the ad networks. So basically, ad networks, like let's say you work with Vungle, it's not 100% direct Vungle traffic you're getting, because they also resell a lot of that and have a lot of resellers. So basically, the add.app.txt file contains the list of all the resellers. So basically, you can actually see who they're actually selling, like who actually is buying your inventory. So basically, having this add.app.txt file allows you to access all that third-party data or third-party like demand, which if you don't have it listed, you won't get any demand coming in from it. Okay. And yeah, info.plist is pretty much the same thing, but on iOS.
Okay. And are you actually using this type of data, or is it just like...
No, I have to update these like every 2-3 weeks, like because they update them and change them quite a lot. But if you take it out, like the first list, like item and all the add.app.txt file entries is always like a direct. So for example, if you take out Admob's direct entry, you won't get any more demand from Admob. So you need to like really have these updated.
So it's pretty important.
Very important.
Okay.
So that brings us to A/B testing. During the global launch, it is super important to be very responsive and nimble with your A/B testing, like a cat.
And cats love our podcast, so be
very
like
true.
a cat. Be like
very
a cat.
True. The interval on when you run your A/B test depends entirely on how many impressions you're seeing in your game. Kind of makes sense, right? The more data, the shorter the intervals of the A/B test like it takes for the A/B test to mature. So for example, when I was running Tetris, like I could do an A/B test in like 24 to 36 hours because it was, so many impressions. But keep in mind also when you're running these tests, like A/B tests, when you're testing Admob placements that are new, you need to keep it for at least 4 to 5 days running, because you see the spike in the first 3 days when Admob forces fill on new placements to learn your inventory. I think that sums everything up, but also like keep in mind that this is only advice for like non-hyper casual titles for ads, because like hyper casual is a completely different beast altogether. And
Why do you keep saying that?
Because it's so different. They do like hyper optimized like waterfalls that are like crazy. Yeah, they go. Yeah, it's more stressful.
Yeah, so much work.
Felix is more stressful. That's the only thing.
Well, yeah, only about saying hyper casual waterfalls. Oh, no.
Dude, hyper optimized waterfalls. Like, yeah.
Nightmare of a ad monetization manager. All right. Remo, what do you get?
Yeah, let's move to game design. This is more rather than a checklist that if you don't have these, probably don't even launch, rather than like optimize as you go.
Don't have lunch. Don't have lunch during the day if you don't have these. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You don't deserve it. So, first things first, content pipeline from global launch. That's like I would say the most important one, because if we assume that you are going to launch and you survive the soft launch where 99% of games die, because they don't hit the KPIs, which is
Can you keep the skeptic in the closet, please?
not skeptic, it's reality.
Okay, that's true.
So
It's true.
so we assume that you have pretty okay KPIs, so you hit those and you are having ROAS there, and like you're making money in soft launch. That's a good sign. So
Well, 99% of the games don't make money soft
Yeah,
launch. Why? Don't
exactly.
even say that, because
And
because then half of the industry will say like, oh well, they said on the podcast, you make money on during the soft launch. Oh, we don't. We need to kill the game. So
and
it's
if
like,
you want
yeah,
to
you
hire and if you
be
want to
careful.
hire Remo to come to your company and do a motivational talk, he's available.
only the good ones will remain. I can guarantee that.
Very true. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I already did that sometimes when I was teaching my students at university. I've seen that happen.
Yeah,
That
and then
literally a
they
student
jumped
pretty much
out of the
walk out away.
windows. They
No,
jumped.
just walk out away. But everybody else was pretty happy at the end of the year.
Come on, I want to learn about game design. Come on.
Yeah, so let's move there. Content pipeline. It's like one of the most important things there because, again, our favorite word, golden cohort's going to hit. Golden cohort being the best players that is brought by the algorithm, and they are the best spenders and the most kind of engaged customers. So you want to keep them as much as possible. So as they are eating through your content, you need to set up a content pipeline for increasing it. So they have always something to eat pretty much. That's like rule number one.
Yeah.
A lot of global launches, they're like some kind of a, like, let me use another analogy, they're like an army push that you push into enemy territory, but then your logistics collapse and you don't have the refillment there, because even if you have those new users, they'll pretty much churn out of your game. So that's the main problem. So you need to keep the fuel running and the content needs to go on. And I don't know how many, Candy Crush is, for instance, as a good example. They have like 11,000 something levels, and they're adding like 40 levels every 2 or 3 weeks or something like that's the content treadmill. You need to put the content into the game if this is like the system that your game is running on.
How old is the game?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years
Okay,
something. 11. Don't know.
Yeah, they definitely didn't launch the game with 11,000.
Yeah. You don't, but like if I remember, for instance, Angry Birds Blast, for instance, another match 3 game,
Yeah.
they launched with like 300 to 400
That's
levels.
what I wanted to ask. Like, what is the optimal amount of content you launch with?
I would say at least for 3 months.
For 3 months of what, like
for users?
For users.
Yeah, for playtime. Okay. So like not pure playtime, of course, just like as progression goes with normal sessioning. So that would be the case.
3 months enough, though?
Yeah, that's the thing. Depends on your game.
Yeah.
If it's a multiplayer game, like a 4X game, that's a completely different beast. So yeah, keep that in mind. One good advice here, try to simulate your progression, at least on paper. Then if you see the analytics from the global launch, you see if you were right or wrong, or you are horribly behind your schedule. So definitely try to have at least something on paper beforehand.
But wait. Global launch, and the same thing mentioned Felix with Admon. So you will see way better numbers during the global launch. So like if the golden cohort power through the content in 3 months, doesn't necessarily mean let's call them regular players will power through the content in 3 months. It can last a little bit longer, right?
Of course, but you lose the golden cohort in the meantime if you don't do anything with it.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
Of course. Another thing would be simulate your spend depth, which goes with the golden cohort, because keep in mind that if people are spending money, they're probably racing to the content much faster when they are not spending money. You need to be able to adjust to also these, because golden cohort is mainly consisting of those.
We need to raise hands.
Question. See, that's the polite way of doing it, Maciej. So
sorry about that.
Spend depth, like for the different kind of genre of games, like what would you say is like good spend depth for different like gaming genres?
Millions.
Billions.
Millions.
Okay, social casino like is like unlimited, right? But like for other ones like casual, like
the more you go core, mid-core, it's higher. I think some numbers I know, let's say Clash of Clans was like 25k if I remember, when it was counted like before they added all those updates like 5 years ago. Now I guess it's pretty much maybe triple that. It also depends like how much stuff is being used into like current game. For instance, example would be Hearthstone. Like Hearthstone just uses the last 3 collections as something playable in the rank mode, which means that all your previous spend pretty much inflates away. So if you really want to go spend them, it's pretty much those 3 collections. So you compete in the current meta, and then it kind of goes on. So you need to come. Yeah, go ahead.
There you go. This
Works great.
perfect. So, any tips for the simulation? So, what are there any tools, or do you
No, there
do
are no tools.
just
There are
on paper?
Yeah, on paper, if you are really kind
Excel
of
sheet.
a Excel ninja, or there's machinations IO that you can do this, but usually how I would do it is that you get some kind of a model player and start to simulate model player behavior, meaning that you have this model player that is playing your game optimally, let's say.
Mhm.
So he's averaging some kind of a session time and session length, and by this time you can see how many sources and resources are going into his
Mm.
account. He's
Okay.
like, progressing to the thing, and you just stretch it on an Excel sheet and see where he will be in 7 days, 12 days, I don't know, 30 days, doesn't matter.
Mm.
So and then you start to factor in, like, what happens if he spends 100, what happens if he
Mm.
spends 1,000, how fast he'll pretty much
Okay.
blow through the content. Usually these are kind of hard to do because every single game has a different module how to kind of simulate this.
Yeah.
Most companies, if the game is super big, they just you really take a programmer and he will code something kind of for you with it.
Mhm.
But Excel can be kind of helpful with it. But yeah, I would definitely try to at least some kind of sense, because once analytics starts to roll in, you can see the reality of this, how either wrong you were, or you overblow it, or the economy is too tight, too generous, what's
Yeah.
the inflation and stuff around it.
Oh
So
wait, but
you'll see.
that's why you are in the soft launch in the first place.
Yeah, but soft launch is one thing. The other thing is, let's say, when you go global launch, the overbalance mechanics, or PvP meta games
Mm.
or stuff like that really started to show only then.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, of course.
So players always figure it out better how to exploit your game, or play it the right way.
Very
Let's
true.
say.
Very true.
Like when
Yeah,
you
but
play Idle Miner and you move your date forward in the future and you just get all the gold.
yeah,
There
exactly.
you go.
That's one of
Trick. I
the
love
There you
it.
go.
great things how to play these games. Anyway,
perfect.
let me continue the list. Have offer systems ready, especially for early conversion. That's also one of the bigger mistakes there, that people kind of say that let's make the payment tiers later when we get the data or something. No, just have the conversion offers ready from the start, at least the conversion tier. Yeah,
It needs to be ready in the monetization stage of the soft launch.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So
That's where
if you don't have it now, no lunch
yeah,
for you.
yeah. No, because it makes so much difference in terms of the ROAS and the numbers after we global launched the game and you have the offers in place already. And I remember when we global launched one game, and we global launched it in I think in October. We had these launch offers right there, and then suddenly one of our colleagues decided to remove those global launch offers from the offer system, and suddenly the revenue dropped by like 50%. I like, what happened? Like, oh well, yeah, like I replaced those global launch offer with like what was it?
Something else.
Something else, Christmas offers. Like, yeah, sure, of course, that perfect. That was amazing. So
Yeah, have
yeah,
your payment system figured out, at least in the early form, because the early conversion is definitely the one you're going for. Uh, this one is kind of my recommendation, but I would say you will run into it anyway. Have at least one event ready to be either immediate, to be pretty much released immediately after launch, or within 3 months of the launch, because you need to have some kind of a new content. People gonna hit the stuck state where they cannot progress really fast anymore. They're gonna learn the game. They're gonna pretty much get into state that they've seen everything, and they want to see something new to remain. So events, changing game modes, or some kind of flavor thing is the one way to do it. And best thing, if you can build it as a template, so next time you run it, you just reskin it, and you have pretty much minimal effort on the coding side. So something like, for instance, Gardenscapes does, where you have the usual like treehouse thing that they copied from like Candy Crush,
yeah,
where you would have like 5 levels in different thematic each time. If you lose one of those levels and lose the streaks, you get back to level 1, and this kind of gets recycled by the beyond. So something like that, that's really handy to have ready by global launch. The other thing is, be ready to balance the game very fast, because if some kind of imbalance in the game or mechanic or something broken, that's going to be show off only if somebody figures it out. Be ready to balance it really fast, because people are going to be really pissed if they especially if it's a PvP game or some kind of competitive game. You really need to act really fast. And then if we're at this competitive question, be ready and have protection in place against bots, cheaters, and other things that can plague your game. Like I've seen different games having kind of really, really big problems with the bots. They can eventually figure it out, but again, we are losing the golden cohort. That's the whole thing why we're having this checklist, that we want to prevent losing the valuable players from golden cohort. And for instance, I remember during Lost Ark launch, there were like so many bots. They block you in the matchmaking, they block you in the server queue. You just see trains of bots going around in the environment. It looks really bad, like nobody's doing nothing against them. Then the whole chat is being pretty much spammed with real money trading sites and stuff like that. So just be ready, because they will come. If the game is successful, they will come, that's assured. And then last thing, make sure your game system are scalable and can absorb the influx of players, because that's one of the things that, yeah, if you have matchmaking for 20k players, that's great, but what happens if there's 200k players in the matchmaking?
Any vectors you need to have in the
Yeah,
game design?
those are the vectors, exactly. The same goes for resource management and like social systems. If they're scalable, if you can absorb the players into those systems, it can, they can still work under this big load. So that's kind of the thing that you need to cover there. And if you have all of these, you should strap yourself and just kind of try to be as nimble as possible, because something's going to break anyway. That's how global launches work.
That's for sure. That's why you have soft launch, so you test everything, and then even like server infrastructure, because that happened to me actually a couple of times. We global launched the game. We had a super big featuring. We spent a lot, and then on Saturday, where you have this featuring peak in terms of the installs, you really spend a lot, and then your game crashes, and you have black
Oh, that
screen
sounds
for
really.
1 minute.
That sounds so expensive.
For one,
Oh,
of course, that was
like
really,
crashing
really
Ferrari.
expensive. That's really expensive, but it's like, yeah, well,
That's life.
what can you do? Yeah, what can you do? What can you do? It was super interesting, but now it's the most interesting part that everybody cares
Oh,
about.
no, man, it's going to be like 20 minutes of you talking about attribution, partner selection, or something like that, probably.
No. You have there are like different questions that you need to ask yourself.
Fake ads.
Fake ads for sure, of course. We're going to talk about fake ads 100% at PGC. Please come and join us. But now back to the global launch. So there are like 4 main questions, and there are very different questions, but these are the 4 main ones. So how much money should I spend? Should I spend more on Android versus should I spend more on iOS? Or what would be the budget split between those platforms? And then should I spend only in US and tier 1 countries, or should I spend worldwide? It comes back to what Felix mentioned. And then ultimately, like, what should be the UA channel mix? How much should I diversify the UA for global launch?
Never heard that before.
Yeah, I know, right? It's super new term running around. So just to confirm multiple things, the big splash global launching is over, at least in my book. This was the case few years ago when you spend a lot during first 2-3 weeks, then scaled back to catch up with the revenue increase.
Wait. I heard
Yeah.
a rumor a couple of
Okay.
years back when Playrix, I think when they were launching Gardenscapes, and I was working at DSP at the time, and they launched, and like our inventories dropped. We couldn't buy anything, and it was just like every ad network had done like Playrix has gone to them. It's like, yeah, we want to buy all your inventory for 9 days, and they were like, what?
What?
And then like apparently like yeah, they went to Udemy. It's like, yeah, we want to buy all your inventory, a couple of days.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure a very similar thing happened to Survivor.io when they, spend a lot on
Yeah.
TikTok. They use TikTok as a main channel, but not only on the UA side, but there was like a different product which is called Top View, I think, and they cut some deal. There's also a rumor. I have no idea if it's
Yeah,
true.
it's the rumor. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing. But yeah, I mean, like those global launches are, I think, at least for my side, it's just like not doable anymore. It's more about scaling or growing the budget step by step. So some, some companies still have this mentality from the past, even though they don't have enough data from the soft launch, and they try to do these big global launches because someone said this is how it should be done. And that's it's always when I talk about this, like, don't listen to everybody, and especially don't listen to us sometimes. Oh, just do your own homework and research. I mean, we are trying to help and provide as much information as possible from our day-to-day job, but also like what works for us doesn't necessarily need to work for you as well. So you need to think about what we are talking about. You need to do your own homework and then just paste the strategy on top of it. So again, what should the global launch budget look like, and what do you need to take into consideration? So let's start with soft launch KPIs. You need to know what is the CPI in the different countries you were running the soft launch in. How did your CPI increase through the whole soft launch period, and create some kind of coefficient to be able to work with it. Because if you see $1 CPI in day one and then you see $5 CPI on day three, it means that the game won't be that much scalable, and you most probably have a very niche game. So you need to take that into consideration. Then, how steep is your LTV curve? Is it actually increasing over time? What is your day one, day three, day seven, day 30 ROAS? How does that evolve? This is something that you need to take into consideration, because then, this is influencing your cash flow situation. So how much money do you have in your bank account is one thing, but how much of that money is actually available for UA? That's a different thing. And could you actually scale pretty fast, or do you need to go really like step by step, increasing budget by 20% every other day? Based on the cash flow situation. And don't forget about the net 30 revenue that you are getting from ads, and then net 45 on the in-app revenue side that you are getting from the stores. That's
Yeah,
super important.
it's net 30 on some ad platforms, like
Okay,
not all of them. Some of them
not
do
all of
like
them.
net 60, like yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
okay,
net
even
45, like yeah.
even worse, in worse than in that case, because then you need to have some cash prepared for the global launch that you will see in, well, 60 days at least. And then it's really important to think about how, like, about the team experience. Like, is your UA team experience enough to handle this high volume and a lot of stress and a lot of black screens and all of these things that can happen? Because even though I said it's fun, it's also super stressful, and everything can go wrong. That's how it is. It's super big. If you get featuring, then it's even worse afterwards. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, have your backend team be ready at on the phone.
Oh yeah,
Because
100%.
UA team can stress as much as they want, but the backend
Yeah.
team is gonna actually fix it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So you need to have a good friends in the backend team that can actually work on weekends and some night shifts as well, because you know everything crashes over the weekend or during the night, never during the day and the usual working hours. That's how it is.
That's assured.
Always. Right, but back to the actual global launch. So one more important fact is obviously creatives, fake ads. Let's not even speak about that. But important is to know how many winning creatives you have from the soft launch. And by winning creatives, I mean if you tested 10 creative concepts, 5 of them have the best numbers. The other 5 is just crap, unfortunately, and this is completely normal. So you need to have at least 5 to 10 winning creatives through the whole soft launch to be able to work with these on the global launch scale. And also you need to be prepared, because with higher budgets you need more creative. So how many new creatives can you actually produce weekly, to be able to fight the creative fatigue? So the creative life is getting shorter and shorter. A few years ago it was like several months you could run the same creative. These days it's like a couple of weeks. After a couple of weeks you see the creative numbers or the results kind of decrease. So with all this in your mind, still, what kind of budget you need to or you want to spend? Do you know? Most probably no, right? So what I usually do is create several plans. It's usually like A, B, and C. So like 3 scenarios. First one is like very minimal budget you want to spend. Then there is the adventurous budget as a scenario B, and then there's the C scenario, which is STFU SFTG, scale the fuck up this game scenario. Which is,
Not sure that's
if
right
we
syntax or English, but I'll allow it.
okay, there you go. Well, it's fine. I'm from Slovakia. It can go through. It's
That's
okay.
Slovak English.
Slovak English. Slovak English. Basically, you need to have different scenarios ready because yes, you have some KPIs from the soft launch, but not every time those are reflected after the global launch. So, again, many questions rising about the global launch, and now I mentioned the soft launch KPIs. And you need to create the strategy around the global launch based on those KPIs, but not every time you see the same numbers, as I mentioned. So let's not forget to be a bit adventurous. And when you're thinking about spending against Google or Android against iOS, and what kind of percentage you need to spend on these platforms, usually go with like 60/40 based on the numbers you have from soft launch in favor to whatever works better, or 70/30. But still, let's have that 30% of budget to explore what you haven't had the chance to explore during the soft launch. Why? Well, because I've seen sometimes you see different numbers during the soft launch. You don't have enough data for certain campaigns, and then you open up different countries as well, and different countries work differently on the iOS versus Android, for example. And then of course, like, you have the whole US, which you don't run in the soft launch type of thing. So at least if you are trying to structure the global launch budget, then here is a simplified structure for you guys. So let's do this. Android, US, you run Facebook, Google, and Unity. Then on US iOS, you run Facebook, Unity, and TikTok. And then it's very simplified structure. You can run rest of the world on Facebook and Google on Android, and then rest of the world on Facebook and TikTok on iOS. This is a very simplified structure that I would advise, for you to cover the whole world. If you want a more advanced structure, hit me up. Now the email is in the show notes, but no, like, jokes aside, this is very simple structure. Usually I add like tier 1 or tier 2 based on the level of budget I have, but if you are spending anything between 0 to 100,000, even this simplified structure would do the trick. If you want to spend more, and definitely like more efficiently, in some cases you add different geo tiers and different UA channels as well.
I have a torpedo question as
Yeah,
usual.
of course you have.
What happens if there's some kind of world event that collides with this thing, like Olympics, UEFA Cup, or some kind of a Black Friday, or things that pretty much pump up the advertising space?
Well, then you plan the budget, not budget, that plan the global launch not to be around these type of things, because Euro is happening in summer, so you don't plan the global launch around that. You don't plan the global launch around Black Friday. I did actually global launch one game just before Christmas, but it was fine because it was only like 20th of December, and all of this bullshit high CPMs and auctions and competition was already fading off a little bit. So when we actually started
High CPM is
growing,
bullshit. I'm insulted.
come on, high CPM on the UA side, not on the monetization side, of course. That's a very different story. And yeah, after we grew the budget, it was already like 26th of December, and that's already like easy.
Mm.
So it's not that not that big of an issue. The biggest issue is when you global launch a game and then Playrix is global launching at the same time, or Apex Legends, or Fortnite back in days when they were just everywhere, and well, everybody was playing that game as well. So that was a kind of a problem. So but this is 50/50 chance you will hit someone, and every week there is someone new global launching their games. So it's all only about the level of scale of the other global launches.
Yeah, so just hope you don't get hit by another Pokemon Go.
Yeah, well, most probably you won't.
Marvel Go.
Marvel, yeah, Marvel game. Marvel Go. It's fine. It's gonna be okay. They won't do any UA anyway, so it's fine. All right. So any other questions? This wasn't any like torpedo question at all, actually.
No, but it can torpedo your lunch if you actually
Oh, yeah,
omit
of course.
this fact.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. All right. In that case, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please send them by email, LinkedIn, or any other medium you wanna choose. And also, thank you very much again for subscribing. Please continue subscribing. Share the podcast to your whole industry friends. Dogs and cats. Again, cats love it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
See you, BGC. Bye, everyone.